My name is Helen Carter. I'm 61 years old, and I live in Austin, Texas. I received dozens of messages from you asking me to tell what happened at my son's wedding, the story you saw in pieces on social media.
Before we continue, comment where you're watching from and subscribe to the channel. We'd love to see how far our stories are reaching.
I decided to write everything, from beginning to end, because maybe it will help someone going through the same thing. Or maybe I just need to get this out before it suffocates me. The toast started like all the others. Glasses raised, forced smiles, that anxious murmur of guests waiting for the moment to applaud. I was seated at the farthest table in the hall. Not the family table, not close friends. Table 7 near the waiter's exit, where the smell of reheated food mixed with the cloying perfume of the white lilies I'd paid for myself. 6 giant arrangements, $2,400 total. Kimberly wanted lilies. Kimberly always got what she wanted. She was radiant in the center of the hall, tight white dress, hair in perfect curls, flawless makeup. My son Christopher beside her, smiling in that way I no longer recognized, nervous, as if waiting for approval. She grabbed the microphone. The hall fell silent. "I want to make a toast," Kimberly said, her sweet voice echoing off the marble walls of St. Mary's Cathedral. "To everyone here today to celebrate our love. To those who believed in us. To those who built this moment." Polite applause. I kept my hands in my lap. "I especially want to thank," she continued, and I felt something shift in the air. My family. My sister Jessica, who's always been by my side. My mother, who taught me the value of hard work. Christopher, who had the courage to choose a bright future. She paused theatrically. The guests leaned forward. "I want to toast." Kimberly raised her glass even higher. "To family that builds a future. Not the dead weight that poisons it." The hall erupted in applause. Not polite clapping, enthusiastic applause, as if she'd just said something profound and inspiring. I sat frozen, hands still in my lap, feeling the blood rush to my face. And then she pointed, directly at me. "Helen, I think you should leave." 130 people turned. 130 pairs of eyes pierced through me. I heard the whispers starting. "Who is she?" "His mother?" "Oh my God, awkward." I looked for Christopher, my son, my only son, the boy I raised alone after Thomas died, the man I'd worked double shifts for years. He was standing next to his wife. He looked at me, not with anger, not with shame, with exhaustion. "Mom," he said, his voice calm, almost gentle. "This is our day, not yours." I stood up. My legs shook so badly I had to grip the chair. No one moved to help me. Sharon, my sister, was 3 tables ahead. She looked away. Jessica, Kimberly's sister, smiled openly, phone in hand, filming everything. The guests parted when I walked down the center aisle, as if I were contagious. My heel clicked on the marble. Click, 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 each step echoing my humiliation. I wore the navy blue dress I'd bought specially for this day. $120 at Macy's. Not expensive, but it was what I could afford after spending $31,000 on the wedding. Catering, $12,000. Flowers, $2,400. Photographer, $3,800. Band, $4,500. Venue rental, $6,200. Decoration, $2,100. The rest on details Kimberly absolutely had to have. Christopher never asked how I'd pay for it. He just said, "Mom, you always figure it out." I reached the double wooden doors, pushed them open. The June heat hit my face like a slap. The parking lot was empty except for the valets smoking near the entrance. They looked at me, looked away quickly. I walked to my car, a 2008 Honda Civic with 180,000 miles on it. The same car I'd driven for 15 years because every extra dollar went to Christopher's college, to his MBA, to his apartment down payment, to his life. I sat in the driver's seat but couldn't turn the key. My hands were shaking too much. That's when I noticed something tucked under the windshield wiper, a white envelope. I got out, grabbed it. Inside, a note written in Christopher's handwriting. I'd know it anywhere. The same handwriting I'd helped him practice in first grade when he struggled with his letters. "You won't ruin our future. Sign the house over by Friday, or you'll regret it. Chris and Kim." Friday. 4 days from now. My house. The Victorian on Speedway Street that Thomas and I bought 40 years ago. The house where we raised Christopher. Where Thomas died in our bedroom after his 6-month battle with pancreatic cancer. Where I'd lived alone for the past 12 years, keeping Christopher's childhood bedroom exactly as he'd left it. Baseball trophies, old posters, the bed where I'd read him stories every night. They wanted me to sign it over. I looked back at the cathedral. Through the stained glass windows, I could see silhouettes moving, celebrating. I could hear the muffled sound of music starting up again. The party continued without me, as if I'd never been there. I got back in my car, started the engine. My phone buzzed. A text from Sharon. "Helen, why did you make a scene? You embarrassed everyone." I didn't respond. Drove home in silence, the note sitting on the passenger seat like a venomous snake. The house was dark when I arrived. I'd left at 3 p.m. to get to the wedding. It was only 6:30 now. The reception would go until midnight. I was supposed to be there, dancing with my son, watching him cut the cake I'd paid for. $800, 4 tiers, white fondant with gold leaf. Instead, I stood in my empty living room, still wearing the navy dress, and let myself remember. Thomas died on January 14, 2013, a Tuesday. It snowed that morning. Rare for Austin. I remember because Christopher, who was 25 at the time, didn't come to the hospital. He called instead. "Mom, the roads are icy. I can't make it." There was no ice. I'd driven to the hospital myself without any problem. Thomas died at 4:47 a.m. I held his hand. He squeezed mine 3 times, our signal for "I love you." Then his grip loosened, the monitor flatlined, and I became a widow at 50 years old. Christopher arrived at noon. After the roads had cleared, he cried. I thought it was grief. Now I wonder if it was relief. 3 days after the funeral, Christopher asked about Thomas's life insurance. $150,000. I'd already decided to use it for Christopher's future. He'd just been accepted into an MBA program at SMU Dallas. $47,000 for 2 years. "Mom, you're the best," he'd said, hugging me. "I don't know what I'd do without you." I worked 2 jobs after Thomas died. Taught 2nd grade at Zilker Elementary during the day. Tutored kids in reading after school, $40 an hour. I worked 55 hours a week because Christopher's apartment in Dallas cost $200 a month, and he couldn't work while studying. I ate ramen noodles for dinner, wore the same 3 outfits to school, drove the Honda until the check engine light became permanent. All so Christopher could have a better life than Thomas and I had. And it worked. He graduated, got a job at a financial consulting firm in Austin, started making $85,000 a year. I thought, finally, he won't need me anymore. Finally, I can rest. That lasted 6 months. "Mom, I found the perfect apartment. I just need help with the down payment. $28,000. I'll pay you back, I promise." I withdrew it from Thomas's life insurance. There was $40,000 left after the MBA. Christopher never paid me back. Then came the credit card debts. $18,000, consolidated into one payment plan I co-signed for. "Just until I get my Christmas bonus, Mom." The Christmas bonus went to a new car. I kept paying the credit card. Then Kimberly appeared, 2 years ago, at a marketing conference in Dallas. She was 29, beautiful, ambitious. Christopher called me, excited for the first time in years. "Mom, I met someone. She's amazing. You're going to love her." I met Kimberly 3 months later. She came to my house for Sunday dinner, looked around my living room with barely concealed disgust. The furniture was old. Thomas had built the coffee table himself in 1985. The wallpaper was floral and faded. The carpet had worn spots where Thomas used to sit in his armchair. "This is cozy," Kimberly said, in a tone that made cozy sound like pathetic. She didn't eat much, pushed the pot roast around her plate, asked if I had any dietary restriction menus. I didn't know what that meant. Christopher ate fast, head down, avoiding my eyes. After dinner, Kimberly excused herself to use the bathroom. I heard her on the phone in the hallway. "Yeah, it's worse than I thought. Total fixer-upper. But the location is prime. Hyde Park. Houses here go for $400K easy." She was appraising my home. The home Thomas and I had bought for $40,000 in 1983. The home where I'd raised my son, where I'd planned to die. When they left that night, Christopher hugged me. "Thanks for dinner, Mom. Kim really liked you." Kimberly had barely said 10 words to me. The engagement came 6 months later. Christopher called, didn't visit, called, to tell me. "We're getting married next June. Kim wants a big wedding. Can you help out a little?" A little. That became $31,000, because Kimberly wanted a cathedral. Because she wanted lilies. Because she wanted a string quartet for the ceremony and a full band for the reception. Because she wanted a 4-tier cake with edible gold leaf. Because she wanted. And I gave. Because that's what mothers do. I stood in my dark living room, the note from the windshield still in my hand. The grandfather clock in the corner, Another piece Thomas had built, chimed 7 times. They wanted my house by Friday. I walked to the kitchen, made myself tea, hands still trembling. The kitchen was my favorite room. Blue tile from the 70s, a bit outdated but charming. Thomas had installed those tiles himself, spent 3 weekends on his knees, measuring, cutting, grouting. I'd brought him lemonade and sandwiches. We'd been 30 years old. Christopher was 2. Everything ahead of us felt possible. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Sharon. Kim is crying. You ruined her day. Christopher is devastated. Why are you being so difficult? Difficult. I typed and deleted a response 3 times. Finally sent. I paid for the wedding. Sharon replied immediately. So what? That's what parents do. You can't hold it over their heads? I stared at the message. Hold it over their heads. As if wanting basic respect was blackmail. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened my laptop. An old Dell from 2012 that took 3 minutes to boot up. I needed to see something. Christopher used to leave his old laptop here, the one he'd used in high school and college. He'd upgraded years ago but never took the old one. Keep it, Mom. Use it for recipes or whatever. I'd never touched it. Until now. It was in his old bedroom, on the shelf next to the baseball trophies. I brought it down, plugged it in. The password was still the same. His birthday plus Austin. He'd never been creative with passwords. I opened his email. The account was still logged in. Years of messages. I scrolled. Work emails, spam, nothing interesting. Then I saw a folder labeled, Mom. My heart jumped. Maybe there were nice messages here. Maybe proof that he did love me. That this was all just Kimberly's influence. I clicked. The first email was from 2 years ago, to Kimberly. Babe, don't worry about the down payment. Mom will cover it. She always does. Just gotta play it right. Tell her we're building our future and she'll hand over whatever we need. She's predictable that way. My hands froze over the keyboard. The next email was from a year ago, also to Kimberly. Talk to Mom about the wedding budget. She's nervous about the cost, but she'll pay. I told her this is her only son's wedding. She'll want to be part of it. Classic guilt trip LOL. Works every time. Every time. I kept scrolling. Email after email. Christopher detailing exactly how to manipulate me. How to time requests. How to phrase things. How to make me feel guilty or needed or essential. Don't mention the house directly yet. Let her get used to the idea first. Drop hints about how hard it is to save for our own place while paying rent. She'll offer eventually. They always do. He didn't even see me as his mother. I was a demographic. An elderly woman easily manipulated. The last email in the folder was from 3 weeks ago. Kim, once we get the house, we can sell it and clear all our debts. $400K easy, minus realtor fees. That leaves us $360K free and clear. Then we just need to figure out what to do with her. Jessica says there are some cheap assisted living places in Round Rock. $2K month. We can cover that for a year or two until, well, you know. She's 61. How much longer can she really last? I read it 3 times. My eyes wouldn't focus. The words blurred. How much longer can she really last? They weren't just planning to take my house. They were planning for my death, budgeting for it. I closed the laptop, sat in Christopher's childhood bedroom, surrounded by the baseball trophies I'd driven him to games for, the posters I'd hung up with him, the bed I'd made every morning before school. The little boy who'd hugged me and said, "I love you, Mommy," was gone. Maybe he'd been gone for years. Maybe he'd never existed at all. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I opened it. Helen, this is Jessica. Kimberly is very upset. We need to sit down and discuss the house situation like adults. I'm a lawyer. I can help mediate. Let's meet Monday morning, 9 a.m. at your place. This doesn't have to get ugly. Mediate. She was going to mediate me out of my own home. I looked at the note from the windshield again. Sign the house over by Friday, or you'll regret it. Monday morning, Jessica would show up with papers, legal language, pressure tactics. Sharon would probably be there too, telling me how difficult I was being. Maybe Christopher and Kimberly would come, putting on hurt faces, making me feel guilty for not supporting their future. 4 days until Friday, 3 days until Jessica's mediation. I sat in the dark for a long time. Then I picked up my phone and made a call I should have made years ago. Gerald Moss Law Office. Hi, my name is Helen Carter. I need to speak with Gerald Moss. It's urgent. He was my late husband's friend. Just a moment, please. Gerald came on the line 30 seconds later. Helen? My God, I haven't heard from you in years. How are you? My voice cracked. Gerald, I need help. My son is trying to take my house. Tell me everything. I did. All of it. The wedding, the humiliation, the note, the emails, the Monday meeting. By the time I finished, it was 9 p.m. Gerald was quiet for a moment. Then, Helen, I'm coming over right now. Don't sign anything. Don't agree to anything. And whatever you do, don't let them in your house on Monday. But Jessica said, Jessica is a family law attorney. I know her. She specializes in elder exploitation cases, from the exploiter's side. She helps families get control of elderly relatives' assets. Helen, this is serious. I'll be there in 20 minutes. He hung up. I sat in the dark living room, waiting. The grandfather clock ticked. 7 chimes. 8. 9. At 9:30, Gerald's car pulled into my driveway. And for the first time since the wedding, I felt something other than pain. I felt anger. Gerald Moss arrived at 9:45 p.m. carrying a leather briefcase that looked older than me. He was 58, silver hair, the same kind eyes I remembered from Thomas's funeral. He'd been Thomas's college roommate, best man at our wedding. After Thomas died, Gerald had called twice to check on me. I'd told him I was fine both times. I wasn't fine, but you don't burden people with the truth. Helen, he said, hugging me at the door. I'm so sorry you're going through this. We sat at the kitchen table, the same table where Christopher had eaten breakfast for 18 years. Gerald pulled out a yellow legal pad and a pen. Tell me everything again. Slowly this time. Every detail matters. I did. The wedding, the toast, the note, Sharon's texts, the emails on Christopher's old laptop, Jessica's mediation invitation for Monday. Gerald took notes, his face growing darker with each detail. Do you still have the laptop? He asked. Yes, it's upstairs. Good. Don't touch it again. Those emails are evidence. He paused. Helen, what they're doing is called elder financial abuse. It's a felony in Texas. The threats, the coercion, the planning, it's all prosecutable. Prosecutable? The word felt foreign. You mean criminal charges? Against Christopher? Against all of them. Christopher, Kimberly, Jessica if she follows through with Monday's meeting. Gerald's voice was gentle but firm. Helen, they're not trying to have a conversation with you. They're trying to steal your house through intimidation and fraudulent legal maneuvering. I felt dizzy. But he's my son. I know. Gerald reached across the table, squeezed my hand. And that makes this even worse. But you need to understand something. If you let them into this house on Monday, if you engage with Jessica without your own attorney present, you'll be walking into a trap. What kind of trap? Jessica specializes in what's called capacity hearings. She helps families prove their elderly relatives can't manage their own affairs. She'll ask you questions designed to make you seem confused. She'll document everything, your hesitations, your emotional state, even the condition of your house. Then she'll use it to petition a judge for guardianship. Guardianship? Legal control over you and your assets. If she succeeds, Christopher and Kimberly would have the authority to sell this house, access your bank accounts, make all your financial decisions. You'd become, legally, a dependent. The room spun. But I'm not incompetent. I teach second grade. I manage my own finances. I know that. But they don't need you to actually be incompetent. They just need to create enough doubt in a judge's mind. A hostile video from the wedding. He gestured to my phone where Jessica's recording probably already lived on social media. An expert testimony about your erratic behavior. A daughter-in-law crying about safety concerns. That's all it takes. I stood up, walked to the window. My reflection stared back. A 61-year-old woman in a wrinkled navy dress, hair coming loose from its pins, face exhausted. What do I do? First, Gerald said, you don't let them in this house Monday. You text Jessica right now and tell her any future communication goes through your attorney, me. Second, tomorrow morning we go to your bank and you move your money, all of it, into a new account at a different bank where they have no records, no access. But Christopher is on my savings account, joint account in case of emergencies. Gerald's expression hardened. How much is in there? About $230,000. Thomas's life insurance, my retirement savings, everything. Helen, he can withdraw all of it right now, tonight, tomorrow, anytime. You need to move it immediately. My stomach dropped. You think he would? I think he emailed his wife about budgeting for your death. Yes, I think he would. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the house creak. Every sound felt like an invasion. Christopher breaking in, taking what he wanted, the way he'd been doing for years. At 3 a.m., I got up and went to Christopher's old bedroom, sat on his bed, looked at the baseball trophies. Second place, Little League, 2001. I'd worked overtime that whole season to pay for his uniform, his cleats, the team fees. He'd been so proud when he got that trophy. Hugged me, said, "Thanks for everything, Mom." When did that boy disappear? Or had he ever really existed? My phone buzzed. A text from Sharon. "Can't sleep. Thinking about today." Kim called me crying. She says you're destroying Christopher's happiness. Why are you doing this? It was 3:07 a.m. Sharon was texting me at 3 a.m. to defend Christopher's wife. I replied, "Did Christopher tell you he wants me to sign over my house?" 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "He mentioned you'd offered to help them get started. That's generous, Helen. But now you're backing out and making them look bad." Offered. I'd never offered anything. I never offered. They demanded. That's not what I heard. Helen, you're being difficult. You always do this. Promise things, then change your mind. Remember when you said you'd help with Mom's funeral costs, then backed out? I stared at the text. Our mother had died in 2008. I'd paid $8,000 for her funeral. The entire thing. Sharon had contributed nothing and then told everyone she'd coordinated everything. I didn't respond. Turned off my phone. At 6 a.m. I showered, dressed in my most professional outfit. Black slacks, white blouse, the blazer I wore to parent-teacher conferences. Gerald was picking me up at 8 a.m. to go to the bank. I made coffee, stood at the kitchen window watching the sun rise over my backyard. The garden was overgrown. I hadn't had energy to maintain it this year. Thomas used to do the yard work. After he died, I'd tried to keep it up. But something about pulling weeds alone felt too sad. My phone rang. I'd turned it back on to check the time. Christopher's name appeared. I let it ring. He called again. Again. On the 4th call, I answered. "Mom." His voice was tight. "We need to talk." "About what? About yesterday?" "About everything. Kim is really upset. She didn't mean for things to go like that." "Like what? Humiliating me in front of 130 people?" Silence. "Mom, you don't understand. Kim was nervous. It was her wedding day. She's been under so much stress planning everything. I paid for everything." "I know, and we appreciate it, but—" "Do you?" I interrupted. "Appreciate it, because the note on my windshield didn't sound appreciative. It sounded threatening." More silence. "What note?" "Sign the house over by Friday, or you'll regret it." That note. "Mom, I don't know what you're talking about. It was in your handwriting, Christopher." "I didn't write any note. Maybe Kim did, I don't know. She's emotional right now. But Mom, about the house. We really need to talk about it seriously. You're living in that big place all alone. It's too much for you. We've been thinking—" I found your emails. The silence that followed was different, heavier. "What emails?" "Your old laptop, the one you left here. Mom will cover it. She always does. Just gotta play it right. Ring any bells?" "Mom, those were private. How much longer can she really last?" "Is that private too?" I heard breathing. Fast, shallow. "I can explain. Monday morning, Jessica is coming here to mediate. Did you know that? Jessica is just trying to help. She's a lawyer. She knows how to steal houses from old women. I know exactly what she does, Christopher, and she's not coming into my house." "Mom, you're being paranoid. Nobody's trying to steal anything. We're trying to help you. By taking my house? By planning where to put me after you sell it? That's not— You're twisting everything." "Friday, you said. I have until Friday, or I'll regret it." "What happens Friday, Christopher? What are you planning?" "Nothing." "God, Mom, why are you acting like this? We're your family. We love you. We just want what's best." "If you ever loved me," I said quietly, "you wouldn't have written those emails. You wouldn't have called me predictable. You wouldn't have laughed about guilt-tripping me. Mom, don't come to this house. Don't call me. Any communication goes through my attorney." "Your attorney? What attorney?" "Gerald Moss, Thomas's friend. You met him at the funeral." "You hired a lawyer? Against your own son?" "You hired Jessica first." I hung up. My hands were shaking again, but this time it wasn't fear. It was rage. Gerald arrived at 8 a.m. sharp. We drove to my bank, Texas First National, where I'd had accounts for 30 years. The branch manager, Patricia, knew me by name. "Helen," she said warmly. "What brings you in so early?" "I need to close my accounts and transfer everything to a different bank." Her smile faltered. "Oh, may I ask why?" Personal reasons. We sat in her office, Gerald beside me, silent but present. Patricia pulled up my accounts on her computer. You have 3 accounts with us. Checking, $4,200. Savings, $231,000. And a CD that matured last month, $18,000. You want to close all 3? Yes. The savings is a joint account with Christopher Carter, your son, correct? Correct. To close a joint account, both parties need to sign. I want to withdraw my portion, half. Patricia looked uncomfortable. Actually, with a joint account, either party can withdraw the full amount. There's no half, technically. Gerald leaned forward. Then Helen is withdrawing the full amount. Today. Right now. I'll need to verify some things first. This is a large withdrawal. We need to ensure— Ensure what? Gerald's voice was pleasant but firm. That an account holder is withdrawing her own money? Patricia's face flushed. Of course. Give me just a moment. She left the office. Gerald turned to me. She's stalling. Probably calling Christopher. She wouldn't. Bank employees gossip. And if Christopher's been banking here too, she knows him. 10 minutes later, Patricia returned with a manager, a man in his 40s I didn't recognize. Mrs. Carter, I'm David Walsh, branch manager. Patricia tells me you want to withdraw $231,000 in cash? Not cash, cashier's check. I see. And this is for personal reasons. It's just that such a large withdrawal raises flags. We want to make sure you're not being coerced or— Gerald stood. Are you refusing to allow your account holder to access her own money? No, of course not. We just— Then prepare the check. Now. David nodded slowly. Of course. This will take about 30 minutes. We waited. I watched the clock. 8:47, 8:55, 9:03. At 9:15, my phone rang. Christopher. I didn't answer. He called again, texted, Mom, what are you doing at the bank? They called me. This is insane. We need to talk right now. They'd called him. Patricia or David or someone had warned him. At 9:30, David returned with papers. Sign here, here, and here. I signed. He handed me a cashier's check for $231,000. Thank you, I said. Mrs. Carter, I have to tell you. Your son called. He's very concerned. He says— My son, I interrupted, is no longer authorized on any of my accounts. We left, drove directly to Austin Community Bank across town, opened a new account in my name only, deposited the check. By 10:45 a.m., all my money was safe. Christopher couldn't touch it. Gerald dropped me home. Keep your doors locked. Don't answer if they show up. Tomorrow we'll start documenting everything, the emails, the texts, the note. We'll build a case. A case for what? Restraining order first. Then we see how far they want to push this. He left. I stood in my empty living room holding my new bank papers. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Christopher, Sharon, an unknown number, probably Kimberly, another unknown number, Jessica. I turned it off completely. Walked upstairs to Christopher's room, looked at the baseball trophies one more time. Then I started packing them into boxes. I spent Sunday packing Christopher's room. Every trophy, every poster, every remnant of the boy I thought I'd raised. By evening, 12 boxes sat stacked in the hallway. I labeled each one in black marker, Christopher's things. Not Chris, not my son's. Christopher's. Formal. Distant. My phone stayed off. I knew they were calling. Christopher, Kimberly, Sharon, Jessica. Maybe even people from the wedding, curious about the drama. Let them call. Monday morning, I turned the phone on just long enough to check messages. 47 texts. 23 missed calls. 1 voicemail from Jessica, her lawyer voice smooth and threatening. Helen, we had an appointment this morning at 9 a.m. You failed to appear. I want you to know that I'm documenting this as evidence of cognitive decline, specifically, inability to keep appointments and manage your own affairs. We'll be filing a capacity petition by end of week, for your own safety. For my own safety. The phrase made my blood boil. I called Gerald. She's bluffing, he said. A capacity petition requires medical evidence, not a missed meeting. But Helen, we need to be proactive. I want you to get a full cognitive assessment, voluntarily. That way, when they try to claim you're incompetent, we have recent documentation proving otherwise. Who do I see? Dr. Sarah Mendoza. She's a neuropsychologist, testifies in court regularly. I'll set it up for tomorrow. Okay. And Helen, how are you holding up? I looked around my empty house, boxes in the hallway, silence everywhere. I don't know. That afternoon, I did something I hadn't done in years. I went to Thomas's grave. Austin Memorial Park, Plot 447, Section C. I'd bought 2 plots, one for him, one for me eventually. A matched set, like our wedding rings. His headstone was simple gray granite. Thomas James Carter, 1963-2013, beloved husband and father. I sat on the grass beside it. The June heat pressed down like a weight. I don't know what I did wrong, I said aloud. I gave him everything. I worked myself sick for him. And he hates me, Thomas. Our son hates me. A breeze rustled the oak trees overhead. Birds sang. Life continued, indifferent. I found emails. He's been planning this for years. Maybe since you died. Maybe before. My voice cracked. Did you see it? Did you know he was like this, and you just didn't tell me? Silence. I'm so angry. At him. At you for leaving me alone with him. At myself for being so blind. I pulled a handful of grass. Threw it. I'm going to fight them. Gerald says I can. That what they're doing is illegal. I laughed bitterly. Illegal? My own son is committing crimes against me. The wind picked up. I imagined Thomas's voice. You're stronger than you think, Helen. I don't feel strong. I feel old and stupid and alone. You're not alone. You have Gerald. You have yourself. What if that's not enough? No answer, because Thomas wasn't really there. He was ash in a box under the grass, and I was a 61-year-old woman talking to stone. I stood up, brushed dirt off my pants. I'm keeping the house, I said to the headstone. I'm keeping everything, and I'm not letting them win. Tuesday morning, Dr. Mendoza's office. A modern building near downtown, all glass and steel. I sat in the waiting room filling out forms. Do you have trouble remembering names? No. Do you frequently lose items? No. Do you experience confusion about time or place? No, doctor. Mendoza was in her 40s, kind eyes behind wire-frame glasses. She led me to a quiet testing room. Helen, this assessment will take about 3 hours. We'll test memory, reasoning, language, attention. It's thorough but not scary. Just answer honestly. She showed me pictures, asked me to recall them, gave me word lists to memorize, had me solve puzzles, count backwards, identify patterns. 3 hours later, exhausted, I sat across from her desk. Helen, your results are excellent. Your cognitive function is well above average for your age group. Memory, executive function, language, all intact. There's no evidence whatsoever of dementia, cognitive impairment, or any condition that would affect your capacity. Relief washed through me. So, if they try to say I'm incompetent, I'll testify that you're not, unequivocally. She paused. Can I ask you something personal? Yes. Why is your family doing this to you? I looked at my hands. Money. My house is worth $420,000. They're in debt. They think I'm easy to manipulate because I've always given them what they wanted before. Dr. Mendoza's expression hardened. I see this more than you'd think. Adult children viewing elderly parents as assets to liquidate. She handed me a folder. This is your full report. Keep it safe. And Helen, don't give them anything. Not an inch. People like that only stop when you force them to. Wednesday, I was in the kitchen making lunch when someone knocked on the door. Hard, insistent. I looked through the peephole. Sharon. I didn't open it. Helen, she shouted through the door. I know you're in there. Your car is in the driveway. Open up. I stayed silent. Helen, this is ridiculous. We're family. We need to talk about what you're doing to Christopher. What I was doing to Christopher. You've humiliated him. Sharon continued. Taking all that money out of his account? It was my account, I said through the door. Oh, so you are home. Helen, open this door right now. No, you can't hide forever. Jessica is filing papers. You're going to lose everything. The house, your money, your independence. Is that what you want? I want to be left alone. You're being selfish. Christopher is your son. He needs help. He's drowning in debt and he makes $85,000 a year. That's not enough anymore. Do you know how expensive life is? He has student loans, car payments, the wedding cost a fortune. I paid for the wedding. Silence. Helen, you can't keep throwing that in his face. Parents are supposed to help their kids. Not at 61. Not when the kid is 36. Not when the help is demanded at knife point. Nobody threatened you. I opened the door. Sharon stepped back, startled. I handed her the note from my windshield. Sign the house over by Friday or you'll regret it. That's not a threat? Sharon read it. Her face flushed. Christopher wouldn't. It's his handwriting. Maybe he was just upset. Maybe he's been stealing from me for 14 years and you knew about it. I didn't know anything. You texted me at 3 a.m. on Sunday defending him. You called me difficult. You said I always promise things then back out. You knew exactly what he was doing. Sharon's eyes filled with tears. I thought you were helping him. I didn't know it was like this. Yes, you did. Helen, did Christopher promise you something? Money? Part of the house sale? Is that why you're here? No, God, no. I'm here because you're my sister and you're making a huge mistake. If you push Christopher away, you'll be alone. Completely alone. No family left. I'd rather be alone than robbed. You're going to regret this. Maybe, but at least I'll regret it in my own house. I closed the door, locked it, listened to Sharon stand there for a full minute before her footsteps retreated down the porch stairs. Through the window, I watched her car pull away. Then I sat on the floor and cried. Thursday morning, I woke up different. The crying was done. The grief had burned itself out. What remained was something cold and clear. I called Gerald at 8 a.m. I want to go on offense, I said. Meaning I'm tired of waiting for them to attack. What can we do first? Silence. Then, come to my office. Bring Christopher's laptop and any evidence you've collected. It's time we build a real case. Gerald's office was in an old converted house near UT campus. Oak floors, bookshelves floor to ceiling, the smell of paper and coffee. He sat across from me at a massive desk covered in files. Let's inventory what we have, he said, opening a yellow legal pad. I laid it out. The note from the windshield. The emails from Christopher's laptop detailing manipulation strategies. The texts from Sharon. Jessica's voicemail threatening a capacity petition. Bank records showing $240,000 in payments over 14 years. College, MBA, apartment, credit cards, wedding. Gerald wrote it all down, his pen scratching across paper. This is strong, he said finally. Very strong, especially the emails. Christopher documented his own fraud. What can we do with it? Several things. First, I file for a restraining order. No contact, no coming within 500 feet of you or this property. Second, we send a cease and desist to Jessica, warning that any capacity petition will be met with a countersuit for harassment and attempted fraud. Third, he paused. We could pursue criminal charges. Elder financial abuse is a third-degree felony in Texas. Criminal charges. The words sat heavy in the air. Against my own son, Helen, he threatened you. He conspired to have you declared incompetent to steal your house. He's been systematically defrauding you for over a decade. Yes, criminal charges. I thought about Christopher at 8 years old, crying because he'd fallen off his bike. Me cleaning his scraped knees, kissing his forehead. It's okay, baby. Mommy's here. Not yet, I said. The restraining order, yes. The cease and desist, yes. But I want to see what they do tomorrow first. Tomorrow? Friday. Their deadline. I want to see how far they'll go when I don't sign. Gerald frowned. That's risky. If they show up here, then we'll have more evidence. He studied me. You've changed. I got tired of being afraid. Friday morning, the deadline day. I woke at dawn, made coffee, sat at the kitchen table waiting. Gerald had filed the restraining order yesterday. It would be served to Christopher and Kimberly today, probably around noon. But they didn't know that yet. At 9 a.m., a car pulled into my driveway. Christopher's silver Lexus, the one I'd helped him buy 2 years ago with a $15,000 loan he never repaid. He got out alone. No Kimberly. Walked up to my porch and knocked. I opened the door but kept the chain lock on. Looked at him through the 3-inch gap. Mom, he looked exhausted, unshaven, dark circles under his eyes. Please, we need to talk. Your deadline was today. I'm not signing anything. I know, He ran a hand through his hair. Can I come in? No. Mom, I'm sorry. About everything. The wedding, the note, all of it. I've been under so much pressure. The debts, Kim's expectations, her family breathing down my neck. I wasn't thinking straight. How much do you owe? He blinked. What? How much debt? Exactly. I don't know the exact. Yes, you do. How much? He looked at his shoes. About $120,000. Credit cards mostly. Some personal loans. The wedding put us over the edge. The wedding I paid $31,000 for. I know, and I'm grateful. You're not grateful. You're angry it wasn't more. You think I'm hiding money from you. No, I read all the emails, Christopher. The ones about how predictable I am. How easy to manipulate. How you just have to play it right to get what you want. His face went pale. I read the one about how much longer I can last. About the assisted living in Round Rock for $2,000 a month. About selling my house for $360,000 clear. Mom, those emails. I was venting. I didn't mean... How much longer can she really last? Did you mean that? Silence. I want you to leave, I said quietly. Mom, please. I made mistakes, but I'm still your son. I'm all you have. No, you're not all I have. I have myself. I have this house. I have a life you've been trying to steal for years. Now leave. What if I don't? The question hung in the air like a threat. Then at noon, when the sheriff serves you with a restraining order, you'll be in violation before it even starts. That's criminal trespass. That's jail time. His eyes widened. You filed a restraining order? Yes. Against me? Your own son? Against the man trying to steal my house? I'm not... His voice rose. Jesus Christ, Mom, I'm not stealing anything. I'm trying to help you. This house is too much for you. You're alone here. What if you fall? What if something happens and nobody finds you for days? That's very touching concern from someone who skipped his father's death to avoid icy roads that didn't exist. He flinched like I'd slapped him. That's not fair. None of this is fair, but it's done. Leave my property. Mom, leave. Or I call the police right now and report you for criminal trespass and harassment. Your choice. He stared at me through the gap in the door. I saw something shift in his eyes. Calculation. Weighing options. Deciding his next move. This isn't over, he said finally. Yes, it is. He turned and walked back to his car, sat in the driver's seat for a full minute, not starting the engine. Then he pulled out his phone, made a call. I couldn't hear what he said, but I saw his mouth moving fast, his free hand gesturing. Then he drove away. I closed the door, locked it, leaned against it. My phone rang. Gerald, sheriff's deputy, just called. He's headed to Christopher's apartment now to serve the restraining order. Should be there in 20 minutes. Christopher was just here. What? Did he threaten you? Not exactly. But he said, this isn't over before he left. And he made a phone call from the driveway. He looked angry. Okay. Lock all your doors, I'm coming over. Gerald, I'm fine. Lock the doors anyway. I'll be there in 15. He hung up. I walked through the house, checking every lock. Front door, back door, garage door, all the windows. Everything secure. Then I went upstairs to my bedroom and opened my closet. Reached up to the top shelf where I kept Thomas's old things, pulled down a small lockbox. Inside, the .38 revolver Thomas had bought in 1995 after a series of break-ins in the neighborhood. I'd never fired it, never even held it after he died. But I knew it was there. I took it out. It felt heavier than I expected. Cold. I checked. It was loaded. 6 rounds. I brought it downstairs. Put it in the kitchen drawer under the dish towels, just in case. At noon, Gerald called again. Restraining order is served, both Christopher and Kimberly. The deputy said Christopher tried to argue, said you were mentally ill and this was elder abuse against him. The deputy wasn't amused. What happens now? Now we wait. They have 2 options, comply and stay away, or violate and face arrest. My guess? They'll try something indirect. Get Sharon to come over. Send someone else to check on you. They'll test the boundaries. Let them. Helen, are you sure you're okay? You sound different. I'm done being their victim, Gerald. Whatever comes next, I'm ready. After I hung up, I realized it was true. I wasn't afraid anymore. I was angry. Saturday morning, 7 a.m. Someone pounded on my door, hard, urgent. I grabbed the revolver from the kitchen drawer before I looked through the peephole. Jessica, Kimberly, and someone I didn't recognize. A man in a suit, carrying a briefcase. I opened the door with the chain still on, kept the gun behind my back. Helen, Jessica said, her lawyer voice sharp. We need to talk. This is Dr. Raymond Pierce. He's a psychiatrist. We're here for a wellness check. I didn't request a wellness check. Your family requested it. Given your recent erratic behavior, draining bank accounts, filing false restraining orders, refusing contact, there's serious concern about your mental state. The restraining order isn't false. And I passed a full cognitive evaluation Tuesday. Dr. Sarah Mendoza. I'm happy to provide the report. Dr. Pierce stepped forward. Mrs. Carter, I understand you're feeling defensive. That's normal. But your daughter-in-law is genuinely worried. She tells me you've made threats, accused family members of theft, shown signs of paranoia. These are classic symptoms of dementia. I don't have dementia. Then you won't mind if I ask you a few questions, just to ease everyone's concerns. I mind very much. You're standing on my property with people I have a restraining order against. Leave. Kimberly's face crumpled into tears. Helen, please. Christopher is devastated. He loves you. We all love you. We just want to help. Help? By stealing my house? Nobody's stealing anything, Jessica snapped. But you can't live alone anymore. You're a danger to yourself. Dr. Pierce is prepared to testify that you need immediate intervention. Based on what? He's never examined me. Based on documented evidence. The wedding incident. Your hostile behavior. Financial irrationality. It's enough for an emergency capacity hearing. My hand tightened on the gun behind my back. Get off my property. All of you. Now. Dr. Pierce pulled a form from his briefcase. Mrs. Carter, I'm authorized to conduct an involuntary psychiatric evaluation. If you refuse, I can call the police to escort you. No, you can't. Gerald's voice came from behind them. He walked up my driveway, a folder under his arm. Dr. Pierce, I'm Gerald Moss, Mrs. Carter's attorney. You have no authority to conduct any evaluation. You're not even licensed in Travis County. I checked. Dr. Pierce's face reddened. I'm a consulting physician. You're a hired gun who testifies for families trying to steal from the elderly. Your license was suspended in California for exactly this. Gerald handed him a paper. That's a cease and desist. If you come near Mrs. Carter again, I'll file a complaint with the Texas Medical Board. Dr. Pierce grabbed the paper, looked at Jessica. You didn't tell me she had counsel. It doesn't matter. It absolutely matters. I'm not touching this. He walked back to his car. Gerald turned to Jessica and Kimberly. You're both in violation of a restraining order. You have 60 seconds to leave before I call the sheriff. We're here for a wellness check, Jessica argued. That's exempt, only if conducted by law enforcement or actual medical personnel with proper authorization. You're neither. 50 seconds. Kimberly grabbed Jessica's arm. Let's go. This isn't working. I'm documenting this, Jessica said, pulling out her phone. She filmed me standing in the doorway. For the record, Helen Carter is refusing mental health assistance and behaving in a threatening manner. She has a gun, Kimberly whispered, her eyes fixed on my hand behind the door. Jessica's phone dipped. You're threatening us with a weapon? I'm standing in my own home with legal protection. You're trespassing. That's not a threat. It's self-defense. Gerald stepped closer to them. 30 seconds. And Ms. West, that video can be used as evidence of your violation. I'd stop recording. They left. Fast. I closed the door, put the gun on the table. My hands were shaking. You okay? Gerald asked. No, but I will be. He sat across from me at the kitchen table. We need to talk about what just happened. They're escalating. The fake psychiatrist, the emergency evaluation threat, they're building toward a court filing. Can they win? Not with Dr. Mendoza's report and their obvious misconduct. But they can make your life hell trying. He opened his folder. However, I have something that might change the game entirely. He pulled out printed pages, spreadsheets, bank statements. I hired a private investigator to look into Jessica and Kimberly, specifically their financial histories. He pointed to a line on a spreadsheet. Jessica has been sued 3 times for fraud related to elder exploitation. Settled twice, lost once. She has a pattern. And Kimberly? Kimberly West isn't her real name. She was born Kimberly Ann Russo. Changed it legally 6 years ago after filing for bankruptcy. $80,000 in credit card debt. 2 evictions. An arrest for check fraud. Charges dropped. My stomach turned. Christopher doesn't know. Based on these emails, I'd say she specifically targeted him. Went to that conference in Dallas knowing there would be financially comfortable men there. Christopher mentioned in one email that his mother was a widow with family assets. That's probably when she locked in. She married him for my money. Essentially, yes. I sat back. 14 years of Christopher's manipulation, but only 2 years of Kimberly. Had she made him worse? Or just given him permission to be what he already was? There's more, Gerald said quietly. The investigator found emails between Jessica and Kimberly. They've done this before. To Kimberly's first husband's mother. 5 years ago in Oklahoma. They got her declared incompetent, sold her house, split the proceeds. The old woman died in a state facility 6 months later. The room spun. They killed her? Neglect, officially, but yes. And now they're trying the same playbook on you. I stood up, walked to the sink, gripped the edge. We have to stop them. We will. But Helen, there's something you need to decide. Do you want to just protect yourself, or do you want them prosecuted? What's the difference? Protection means restraining orders, guardianship denials, keeping your assets safe. Prosecution means the DA files criminal charges. Jessica and Kimberly go to trial, possibly prison. And Christopher? He's complicit. Conspiracy, fraud, elder abuse. He'd face charges too. My son, my only child, the boy I raised, the man who wanted me dead. What would Thomas do? I asked aloud. Gerald was quiet for a moment. Thomas would protect you, whatever the cost. I turned around. File everything. Restraining orders, criminal complaints, all of it. Helen, they killed a woman in Oklahoma. They're trying to kill me. I won't let them do this to someone else's mother. This will destroy Christopher's life. He tried to destroy mine first. Gerald nodded slowly, stood up. I'll contact the DA Monday morning. This is going to get ugly. It's already ugly. After he left, I sat alone in the kitchen, picked up the framed photo from the counter. Me, Thomas, and 8-year-old Christopher at the beach. Galveston, summer of 1996. We'd saved for a year to afford that trip. 3 days of cheap hotels and gas station snacks. Christopher had been so happy, building sandcastles, collecting shells. I ran my finger over his face in the photo. I'm sorry, I whispered. I'm sorry I couldn't save you from yourself. Then I put the photo face down in the drawer. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. Mom, Christopher's voice breaking. Please, they told me what happened this morning. I didn't know they were going to do that. I swear, Kimberly and Jessica, they're out of control. I want out. Out? Of all of it. The plan, the manipulation, everything. I made mistakes. Terrible mistakes. But I never wanted to hurt you like this. You wrote that I couldn't last much longer. You budgeted for my death. Silence. Then, quietly, I know, and I hate myself for it. Mom? Kimberly is. She's not who I thought she was. I found out things. Bad things. I want to leave her. I want to fix this. Please. Can we meet? Just you and me? Every instinct screamed trap. But it was my son's voice. Where? Zilker Park, Christopher said. The big oak tree where we used to have picnics. 2 hours. Just you and me. No lawyers, no Kimberly. Please, Mom. I hung up. Called Gerald immediately. Don't go, he said. It's a setup. What if it's not? What if he really wants out? Then he can come to my office with his own attorney and make a formal statement. Helen, these people tried to have you institutionalized this morning. Do not meet him alone. I won't be alone. You'll be there. Hidden. Recording everything. Helen. 2 hours. Zilker Park. Be there or I'm going anyway. I hung up before he could argue. I arrived early. Parked where I could see the oak tree. The gun was in my purse. My phone was recording. Gerald's car was 50 yards away, partially hidden by other vehicles. He'd texted, I'm here. Stay in public view. If anything feels wrong, walk away. At exactly 3 p.m., Christopher's Lexus pulled in. He got out alone, looked around nervously, walked to the oak tree. I watched him for a full minute before I got out of my car. He saw me coming, didn't move, just stood there, hands in his pockets, looking smaller than I remembered. Mom. His voice cracked. I stopped 10 feet away. Talk. I'm leaving Kimberly. I filed for divorce yesterday. Why? Because Gerald was right. She's done this before. I found emails. She and Jessica have a system. They target men with elderly parents who have assets. They marry in, isolate the parent, push for guardianship, liquidate everything. There was a woman in Oklahoma. She died. I know. Gerald told me. Christopher's face went pale. You know. He hired an investigator. We know everything. Then you know I didn't know about Oklahoma. I swear. I thought Kimberly loved me. I thought she wanted a life with me. But yesterday I overheard her and Jessica. They were planning what to do after we sold your house, how to split the money. Jessica said, Christopher's useful for now, but once we have the cash, we can drop him too. His voice broke. I'm disposable to them, just like you are. You made yourself disposable to me first. I know. Tears ran down his face. I know what I did. The emails, the manipulation, the wedding, all of it. I don't have an excuse. I was greedy and stupid, and I let Kimberly convince me that I deserved your money because you were old and didn't need it anymore. I'm 61, not 90. I know. God, Mom, I know. And Dad's only been gone 12 years. I should have... He wiped his face. I should have been there for you. Instead, I bled you dry. $240,000. Over 14 years. That's how much you took. He flinched like I'd hit him. I'll pay it back. I don't know how, but I will. Every cent. With what money? You're $120,000 in debt. I'll sell everything. The car, the furniture, I'll get a second job. I'll do whatever it takes. He took a step closer. Mom, I'm not asking for forgiveness. I know I don't deserve it. I need you to know I'm done. With Kimberly, with Jessica, with all of it. I'm going to testify against them. Help the DA. Whatever you need. Why should I believe you? Because I have this. He pulled a flash drive from his pocket. Every email between Kimberly and Jessica. Their whole operation. Bank accounts, previous victims, the works. I copied everything from Kimberly's laptop before I left. I stared at the flash drive. When did you leave? This morning, after they came to your house. When Kimberly came home laughing about how they'd rattled you, I couldn't do it anymore. I packed a bag and went to a motel. Where are you staying? Motel 6 on I-35, room 247. I have $300 left to my name. He laughed bitterly. Turns out when you spend everything trying to impress a con artist, you end up with nothing. I watched him, looked for the lie, the manipulation, the performance. All I saw was a broken man. Give me the flash drive. He handed it over. There's something else. Something I need to tell you about Dad. My stomach dropped. What about him? The day he died. When I said the roads were icy and I couldn't make it to the hospital, Christopher's voice shook. That was a lie. I was home. In bed. I heard your voicemail saying he didn't have much time, and I couldn't face it. I was 25 and stupid and scared of death, so I stayed in bed. By the time I got there, he was gone. I know. He looked up, shocked. You knew? I knew there was no ice. I drove there myself. I knew you chose not to come. Why didn't you ever say anything? Because you were grieving, or I thought you were. I paused. Now I don't know if you ever really grieved him at all. I did. I do. Every day. He was a good man. A great father. And I wasted the last chance I had to tell him that. Christopher's face crumpled. I'm so sorry, Mom. For all of it. For him. For you. For everything. I stood there, watching my son cry. Part of me wanted to hug him. To tell him it would be okay. To be his mother again. But another part, the part that had spent 2 weeks being threatened and manipulated and nearly destroyed, stayed exactly where I was. Go to Gerald's office Monday morning, 9 a.m. Give him everything on that flash drive. Make a full statement. Testify against Kimberly and Jessica. I will. I promise. And Christopher, don't come to my house. Don't call me. Don't show up unannounced. If you want any chance of me ever forgiving you, you'll respect that boundary. How long? I don't know. Maybe a year. Maybe never. That's not your decision anymore. He nodded slowly. Can I ask one thing? What? Do you think Dad would forgive me? I thought about Thomas, his kindness, his patience, the way he'd loved Christopher unconditionally even when Christopher was difficult. I think Dad would want you to become the man he raised you to be. Whether he'd forgive you? You'll have to live with not knowing, just like I do. Christopher stood there for a long moment, then turned and walked back to his car. I watched him drive away. Gerald appeared beside me. You okay? No, but I will be. You believe him? About leaving Kimberly? I believe he's scared. Whether that turns into real change? I shrugged. Time will tell. And if he disappears? Takes that flash drive and runs? Then we have enough evidence without it, but Gerald? I don't think he will. I think losing everything finally woke him up. You're more optimistic than I am. I'm not optimistic. I'm just tired of hating him. Monday morning. Gerald called at 8:47 a.m. Christopher showed up. 9 a.m. sharp. Flash drive, full statement, everything. The DA's filing charges against Jessica and Kimberly today. Fraud, conspiracy, attempted theft. Christopher's cooperating witness. Reduced charges in exchange for testimony. What about me? What about you? Am I pressing charges against him? For the elder abuse? Gerald was quiet. That's your call, Helen. You have grounds. But if he's genuinely turning state's evidence, I won't press charges. But I want full restitution. Every penny he took. Payment plan if necessary. Legally binding. I'll draw up the papers. After I hung up, I walked through my empty house. 12 boxes still sat in the hallway. Christopher's things, packed and waiting. I didn't unpack them, but I didn't throw them away either. I'm writing this from my living room, the same Victorian house on Speedway Street. Still mine, still standing. Christopher lives in a small apartment near campus. Works 2 jobs, consulting during the day, bartending at night. Every month, $500 appears in my account. Restitution. At this rate, he'll be paying me back until he's 50. We've had coffee twice. Brief, awkward meetings where we talked about weather and nothing important. He's in therapy. Says he's learning about boundaries, about accountability. I don't know if I'll ever forgive him completely. Some days I think I'm close. Other days I remember the emails, the wedding, the cold calculation of my death, and I feel the anger return. Kimberly and Jessica are awaiting trial, both facing 5-10 years. Jessica's lawyer tried to negotiate, offered to testify against Kimberly if charges were reduced. The DA refused. They're both going down. Sharon calls sometimes. I don't answer. She chose her side. Gerald still checks on me weekly. Drinks coffee at my kitchen table. Tells me about his cases. Makes sure I'm okay. I am okay. Not happy, not healed. But, okay. The house is quiet. Sometimes too quiet. But it's my quiet. My space. My life. And that's worth everything. What about you? What would you do in Helen's place? Would you give Christopher a second chance or cut off contact forever? Share your thoughts. I want to know if I was weak or if there's still hope. If you've also experienced something similar to family manipulation, send your story to the channel. Maybe one day I'll have the courage to read other stories like mine.